Welcome to Compai's Expat channel. I'm Compai. I'm Sosua's voice of reason. Guys, how do we sound? Can you guys hear us? How about a little mic check? Somebody throw a comment in the comments down below.
Can you hear both of us?
Yes, that's a plus. So we got 7 people. We got 2 people watching this right now, which is good. I haven't done a live stream in a while. In a while. It's about time. Well, long overdue. Long overdue. So guys, I want to really just get back into doing some live streaming. I want to use the studio a little more. I'm going to put some more work into this set. This is set number 2. Most people are used to seeing me in the other set where I do most of my filming individually. But, yep, I want to get this set all rocked out, make it look good, get it all dressed up. But can somebody let me know if they can hear us good enough? Somebody write me how about a chat?
I'm guessing they're all shy.
I'm making sure
Or maybe
comments
they
on.
can't
I'm
hear us at all.
making sure that comments on. There we go. Well, guys, let's get into this. So, Frank and I have the same exact kind of business. We both do vacation rentals. We've both been doing them for 16 years. Is that right, Frank?
Pretty much 16 years.
16 years. So, we've seen Sosua change. We've been through good times, we've been through bad times, and this is the second downturn I've seen in Sosua. It's being enhanced because of the world economy is really taking a slow roll into recession, is what I think.
I believe so as well. I mean, there's a lot of complaints about that. Oh, Sosua. But if you look at the big picture, I don't believe it's just located in Sosua.
No, well, absolutely, and if you look, there's other markets that are having the same problem, but we're now getting the issue with Sosua going through a culture change, and it's been extremely well publicized, and that's one of the things I think we should talk about, because you got people who are saying roll up the sidewalks, it's dead, it's tyranny. It's conspiracy theories. The big companies are going to come in. They're going to tear down Main Street. And then other people are going, this is going to be the best decision you've ever made if you buy now. And I don't see, it has to be somewhere in the middle.
Normally it's, isn't it?
There's always winners and losers in everything. But where people are getting confused is they don't know who to listen to. And you're playing people. I see people.
Are we the ones to even listen to?
You know what? That's up to everybody watching. That's But it's I see people playing into people's fears, other social media content creators, and then I see people who are trying to sell real estate and make money, playing into people's hope, peddling products that aren't ready to be there yet. So I think it's somewhere in the middle, and I think people got to understand Sosua is going through a change, and it's seen changes before, and it's going to come out of this. And Sosua is still going to have the ability to be what it is for everybody. It's something for everybody.
I fully agree with that, and obviously I've seen a lot of your videos before this as well. And what you see in those videos is something that you mention a lot of the times. The people that aimed at only one clientele, one area, they are going to be hurting, of course. If you are from the beginning, I mean, like 16 years back, same here, Casa Valeria has been running for since I started was 2009, but it opened up, I think, 2008, and it's always been a very wide open aspect of the clientele. Make sure that everybody that comes there has a great time.
Sosua's always had that, where you have your German bars, you got your Canadian bars, you got your Dutch bars, you got, your Italian bars. It's always had that. And I never, well, there's not enough of us white Americans down here for me to say, I'm just going to be a white American bar. There's a lot of bars that cater to the African American market, right? But I would throw a wide net. I want couples, I want digital nomads, I want guys who are down here for short term, I got guys who are renting for months. You can't just hit your horse, you can't hit your wagon on one horse. You got to spread it out.
Absolutely. I think the only difference you and me have that Casa Valeria has children. We have families as well.
Yes, I don't do kids.
No.
And that's, guys, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I don't want to hear kids. And my condos aren't child friendly. There's corners everywhere. I don't have cribs. And a lot of my clients don't want kids either. I got guys working online. They don't hear children screaming and yelling. But I think that's one of the reasons I got booted off of Airbnb, because I'm not family friendly.
I'm still on Airbnb.
You're still on Airbnb. Because me and Frank, we have the same. There's guys that'll come in and stay 3 days at my place, then go over to his place for 4, and vice versa. So we share the same client base. That's why.
Or when I come over to your bar and I go in like, hey, how you doing? My clients are sitting inside of your.
See, or when I get lunch at Casa Valeria, hey, how you doing? Good to see you. But that's what I love about Sosua. Even though, Frank, we're technically competitors, but we share the same client base, and Frank's also my peer, and he's also my friend. So we go to each other for advice. We go to each other and say, hey man, are you seeing what I'm seeing? So we bounce things off of each other, just like Manuel from The Good Life Sosua. I do the same thing with him. So, and that goes into what we were talking about, where the business owners just stick with one avenue of clients. You got to throw it out there, and you have to have peers down here that you can trust. Not a lot, but the right ones.
100%. I fully agree with that. That you gotta be in touch, like you and me are being in touch. And I got some other hotels that you can talk to from time to time. Not as much as I do with you, but realize that we're all working for the same goal.
And that's where the division right now is in Sosua. We don't have a united business community. We don't have a united tourist community, and we don't have a united population. Either you're for crackdown or you're against the crackdown.
You can't be in the middle.
And there's really, and that goes to what we were saying earlier. It's either you're one side or the other, and in the end, it's going to hurt the individuals more than anybody, because people are getting upset that their Sosua changed. I mean, what was Sosua like when you got here 16 years ago?
Oof. Sosua was a great mix of people back then. It was way more European flights coming back 16 years ago. More Canadians as well, I would believe. You had
really? More Canadians?
Yeah, we had at least the Casa Valeria back then when I started working there. There was loads of Canadians, we had Germans, we had Dutch people. There was much more flights coming from Europe back then. And Casa Valeria back then was very European style. So it was families, it was couples, it was single men, it was digital nomads didn't exist back then. We were probably sitting down writing on a paper.
Pad and paper.
But I mean, like, it was a very mixed group of people coming 16 years ago,
Yeah.
100%.
Now, the difference was Frank's been down here doing business longer than I have. Yeah, I bought my first condo back then, but it was just one condo. You know, I wasn't involved at the level Frank was. So it's like what I said earlier, you know, you need to have peers that you can bounce stuff off of and learn from, because I was lucky to get involved with a great group of business owners that took me under their wing, where I was able to learn a lot. So, and that's why I enjoy doing this channel, to share that wealth. But going forward in Sosua, things are changing. We lost our European market, not because of anything that happened in Sosua, but because of the economy. And we're seeing more changes in Sosua. That would be incorrect if I say that. I was going to say we're seeing more changes in Sosua because of the economy. That would be wrong. Absolutely. But the economy is playing a larger role into the slowdown in Sosua. I believe that this is more what a normal low season was coming out of the last downturn, 2013, 2014.
2013, 14. It's similar. It's similar to I was very much involved in Casa Linda back then.
Okay.
So I did not have the eyes on the ground in this area.
For rentals, gotcha.
No. So for direct, there you have a completely different clientele in Casa Linda.
Right. Well, yeah, they're buying. So I think as Sosua comes out of this, because the dust hasn't even settled on what's going on. We still got the beach that needs to be redone. They're still going to redefine downtown. I hope they really get a clear vision on what they're going to do. I know they're pushing the family events and stuff like that. I don't think that's the downtown Sosua is the place for it. I think they're doing it to prove a point, and I get it and I understand it. But sometimes we have to coexist, and
that's where you're right, completely on coexist. You can absolutely have the family days for the downtown Sosua. I got 2 kids here myself. I have one 6-year-old and one 11-year-old. And boy, we come down on these days when they have these events down at the Sosua, because you never had those events before. Mm-hmm. And I do believe that there's a great expat community, especially, not so much the family tourists that are coming because they haven't started coming yet. Will they come? That's a good question. Mm-hmm. But at least for the expat community, I believe that's a very good incentive to get the families to start coming out. But you can't just live on only those, I do believe.
right.
You got to get more events coming up where couples, for everybody.
How can I'm picking my words. God, we really have to pick our words carefully, because this, we all fall in love with Sosua from that first day, and that's like the barometer. That's what we measure everything from, and it's really personal.
Yep.
We don't want it to change, but Sosua is nothing like when I first started coming down here. And guess what? I'm not either. I'm nothing like the guy that I was before. I think I said in my last video, 16 years ago at 9:30 at night, I'm getting a shower to go out. Now I'm asleep on the couch. So, I think we're going to go out and get some drinks after this. This will be the first night I've been out in Sosua since Frank left, Frank Huron left.
Yeah.
So what was that, 2.5 months ago? So I just don't do the same thing. But Sosua is known as a fun town.
Yep.
And we want to acknowledge the expats. I'm an expat. You're an expat. Because they've been overlooked when it comes to the downtown, except for the Jolly Roger. Really. Outside the Jolly Roger, maybe Central.
Yeah, in
Right?
Pedro Clisanta.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's all pushed up towards...
Down my spot, down
yeah.
my way. You got Cheers, Smileys, all that.
Yeah.
But the expats who come to my cigar lounge, they don't go to either one of those places. That's why I did what I did, because they're coming out of Hispaniola, coming out of Casa Linda, and they want something different. That's why the Hard Rock was good for the town. because it gives it a different theme, a different flavor. Sosua had to change. It just had to change. It was just out of control. And I know people get mad when I say that, but we're comparing it to pre-COVID. Post-COVID, it was a different world down here.
Yes.
Things just got out of control. You know, they allowed so many things to slide, and then it took such a drastic measure to pull everything back. And that's what they're doing. It's almost like they're trying to go back to what it was 10 years ago, where the girls were dressed appropriately. They walked around. They didn't stop and conjugate. And I remember that one mayor, you know, I'm not going to throw names out, but she would tell them, just walk, just dress nice. So this isn't anything new.
No.
You know, it just got to the point where it was just too much.
Yeah, absolutely. Back in those days when they had the crackdown, or they didn't really have a crackdown, they just came up with semi-weird rules from time to time. I remember I came here, just like you were saying, in a completely different man than I am right now. I was a single diver when I came here, and now I'm a father of 2 children, married to a Dominican woman. And back then, I even remember the rules stayed throughout. We started wondering, hey, honey, can you even go out walking on the streets here now? Are they going to just pick you up? So there was a lot of questions. There was a lot of worry because it was the first time. This is now the second time. And you're starting to realize that, yeah, they're going to come up with rules. And the most important part is, I think, enforcing them.
Well, this absolutely enforcement is the issue around here. You know, they enforce it for a period of time, and then it slacks off, and then they come in a little harder after that. Then it gets a little hard. It's like a seesaw effect, right?
Yeah.
But this time's different, though. This time's different. They're seeing this through. That's why I believe this has legs. It's going to continue. Maybe not as intense as we've seen in the past, thank God. You know, listen, I'm all for, I don't want to say the crackdown, but I'm all for going back to the way it was before, where the girls are dressed better, they're not conjugating, they don't have to run from the police. You know, that's what I would like to see. You know, let's make Sosua fun again, because it's not as fun as it was.
Yeah, I do believe what you're saying there is, I think there might be a small percentage of the people that are 100% along with the crackdown, how it was handled and everything like that. Nobody's, of course there are people against it, but most of the people are not against it. They are 100% along with it, just that it could have been done differently.
Mm-hmm.
But here we are now. They did it the way they did it, and we got to move forward with how we can make it work. And I do believe running around like you were talking about, the YouTubers showing an empty Sosua at the wrong hours when they're filming, etc. Don't hate me too much for saying that for the people who are doing them.
You want to go there? Okay, let's go there, Frank, because I have no problem being that guy. If you watch my videos, you know I go right up to that line and sometimes walk over it. Here's the problem: everybody's entitled. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Just have some merit and some credibility to what you put out there on social media. When you're doing interviews, and us who live here, we know the people you're interviewing. Those people are not allowed in my business for a reason. And you're putting them up as being victimized because of the crackdown when we know really what they're about. Right? When you're showing all the shops closed, well, they would be closed in the middle of the high season at that time. When you manipulate the narrative based on the time of the day, low season, the people you're interviewing, vacation times, it's you're not helping anybody really. What you're doing is you're creating fear. People are changing vacations based on what they see. I'm to the point where I can't convince you to take a vacation here. If you cancel, you cancel. I get calls at night, John. Is it really like what? No, it's not that bad. You know, if you know anything about Sosua, if you can't come down here and have a good time and do what you were doing 5 months ago, you're the problem. Because really, nothing really has changed other than where everybody's congregating. If you're here to do what most guys do down here, it hasn't changed. I'm not for it. I'm not against it. It's just, it is what it is.
Yeah.
You know, it's...
And just like you're saying, I mean, like we have clients coming here. Casa Valeria has built up a great clientele. We have some amazing clients coming to our hotel for the last, well, at least since I started 16 years ago. And all of the pre-COVID ones, they continue. They haven't even canceled the reservations. They continue coming because they've seen these type of things before, and they're not worried about everything that's happening that's going to ruin their vacation. They still come here and have a great time. It's not empty 100% on the street. Is it slower? Yes. But so was it 14, 15 years ago. When you walked around in Sosua 14, 15 years ago, or on the beach.
Same way.
I remember a buddy of mine, he went skinny like this during summertime, and then he, boom, built up again and got a little bit fatter during wintertime.
I know what you're talking about. But if you, I don't want to say that, but I personally, this is my favorite time of the year. The ocean's the warmest, it's the calmest. There's less bank lines. It's my home. I get my town back. It's kind of like going up on the Jersey Shore, you know. In the summer, it triples in population. Then in the winter, you get your town back. Well, it's the same thing here. But you hit a really good point when you said pre-COVID, post-COVID, because the guys who came down after COVID, their barometer was sitting at a bar, watching chicas go by, getting a WhatsApp number, and doing what you're doing. Nobody went dancing down Pedro Clasanta. There was more places to dance on that strip than Atlantic City, New Jersey. When you'd be walking down the street in Atlantic City, New Jersey, it was just there was places, and everybody would dance. You know, you'd be dancing next to, you would have a table full of Dominicans next to you. So the guys who came after that, they never saw it like that. They never just saw how it was fun, low-key, easy-going, and they really lost out on a good time.
Yeah.
And when it gets back to that, it's going to get back to that, because I think you're going to get some of the Dominican entrepreneurs. You're going to make it more Dominican like it was back in the day. And I think when that happens, it's going to get the heartbeat back instead of just cruising along and drifting. And then you're going to see guys. Then it's going to get a whole different flavor. And then the guys who came down here after COVID, they're going to experience it as the way we fell in love with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like Pedro Clisante is where I learned how to dance bachata, merengue, típico.
Yep.
That was the street. You went. There was, what was it, 3 or 4 big discos that they had
Huge
back then.
discos.
Yeah.
Not excluding Classico.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Classico was not the best. Classico was not the place to go to dance. That was not the dancing spot. But El Flow, El Toro, Deja Vu, or no, Voodoo. Remember Voodoo?
Ooh. Jumping back in time here now.
Woo.
What was the other one? Latino Bar? What's it called? No, Latino Club? The one that's pretty much where the veterans are now.
El Flow.
Oh, that was El
El
Flow.
Flow.
El Flow was next door. Then there was another big disco that
El Toro.
That was El Toro.
El Toro is where the Chinese place is now.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great place.
And
me and my wife went there. All the
dude.
time when we started dating, that's where we went.
And a lot of people don't realize there were bars up front with discos in the back. Because El Flow had a bar where you could dance up front, where you had people sitting on the sidewalk. Then you had the bar inside, and then there was a disco in the back. El Flow was the same thing. And you had a bunch of places like that. Well, hell, look at, before my time, but Moby Dick's. Disco in the basement, disco ground floor, and up top had rooftop.
That's before my time as well.
Roomba Kings is here. You got Dr. Rosen,
Yeah.
Pedro, that Chinese store right there.
Oh,
And
right,
Moby
right.
Dick's.
Yeah, that one was closed down when I came.
Yep, it just closed down when I got there. See, when I came down, the old guys were saying, "Oh man, you missed it, man. The heyday's over." And I'm like, "You can't walk down the street." There's
Now
so
we're
many
the old
people."
guys sitting here.
We're the old guys saying, "It's horrible. You should have seen it 16 years ago." And I own it. I'm the guy who sleep by 9:30, man. That's why I don't do live videos anymore, because I'm usually home laying on the couch by now. But the point is, we just, we're trying to, set the tone of how things were, then how they got to, and how they're going to have to, the downtown's, to survive, is going to have to redefine itself. And it's going to take a certain kind of entrepreneur to go down there and do it. And the people that are there are going to either adapt or die.
That is 100%.
Well, who were we talking about the other day when we were sitting on the beach? The two restaurants that are getting ready to redo their business.
Oh, it's the one up in Sosua Bay?
Sosua Bay?
Leo Banana?
Mm-hmm. Now, why does that name ring a bell? Where was his business before? Because that's what I think we're going to see. We're going to see some of the old entrepreneurs come back now.
Don't quote me on this. I was talking to my wife about this, and well, she's Dominican, so she has a much better clue of everything that's happening and everybody around. But she mentioned something about, I didn't understand if it was on the beach or if it was towards Charamicos area, that there was a big restaurant. He used to have a restaurant over there, and now he's moved into Sosua Bay, and I've seen some beautiful videos of that area.
Yeah.
How they've remodeled that place, and that might be one of the top-notch places, dude.
That would be, that'd be great.
You
for the
got
town.
an amazing view up there. You got an area. If he does that into a little, so you can do a little bit of dancing as well. I mean, like most of the places in Dominican, you go to a bar/disco.
Mm-hmm.
It's both.
Yep.
So in the middle of it, everybody just goes up and dancing into gym.
Throw in a car wash.
And that would be one of the best spots for it.
Overlooking the bay.
I know I'm gonna have to
Overlooking
go
the
back
bay.
into dancing again.
There we go.
I've
There
been
we
getting
go.
a little bit slow on my legs. Honey, you'll be
Watch
happy.
the knee. Watch the knee. But is it? Then there was. I saw on Facebook. I think it was. Is it? I don't want to say anything incorrect, but I think it's the place that is right on the corner, Casa Coca or what is
Casa Coca, yeah?
Casa Coco? I think they might be doing something because I saw a Facebook post and I'm trying to figure out.
I think you're talking about Mango.
Where Mango?
Mango. That's
It is Mango.
I saw some pictures that was uploaded about a possible makeover for Mango.
Is that okay?
Which, by the way, is a really good restaurant.
You mean? Oh, you mean the steakhouse?
The steakhouse.
Best steaks in town.
Oh.
Best steak. And listen, this is a commission-free YouTube channel. We get no commission from.
But
from
if we
supporting
decide to go
anybody.
to Mango later and you guys decide to give us a free steak,
I'm not peddling any commission.
I'm sorry, I'm never
That
serious.
was good. That was good. You should see us after a couple Santa Libres and beers. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
But
This is drinking water.
yeah. But no, it's good to see that people are investing back in this crackdown, investing back into the businesses, because you gotta redefine yourself. You gotta be on top of your business. I mean, you just redid yours a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
In which way you mean? No.
Just some the rooms.
Oh, the rooms were remodeled longer. This is probably 6-7 years ago that they were remodeled, but we're constantly changing over there because you got to put money back in. You got to put money back in. You constantly keep it updated so everybody, when they come, they go notice new things. So there's a little waterfall there. There's that. You just got to keep.
when you walk into Casa Valeria, there's this little waterfall, and I was waiting for Frank and we were going to walk to the beach. And I was wishing I had a couple 10 peso coins because I was going to start throwing into your waterfalls. I wishing well.
Looks a little bit like a wishing well, yeah.
But I think I think Sosua is going to go through some hard times. It's going to go through a transition. Going to lose a certain amount of market. Undeniable. You're going to see people losing property, investors. You're going to see some businesses equivalent to ours. You're going to see some restaurants. You're going to see them go out of business. That's a good thing. Not that I want to see people lose their business, but recession is a way to get rid of the weak, make way for new business, make way for new ideas, new capital. That's what's going to happen. The stronger are going to get stronger, the weak are going to die. And that's how I see things going forward.
Yeah, I believe you're pretty much spot on there. And I mean, like, it's a little bit of a wake up for all of us as well. I think many just went in on a calm streak. Business is coming, business is going good, and they were not really pushing themselves. And I can speak for myself. I could have done even more, probably, putting into my business and coming up with new ideas. And this has made us really sit down and think about, for example, the restaurant and what can we do? What can we make to pop out? Because there's so many good restaurants in Sosua.
Surprising.
To be honest.
Yeah, in this little town, we do. We do.
So it's a little bit of fire in our, you say that in English, fire in the butt? To get yourself moving forward a little bit. If I throw out with weird stuff, I'm from Sweden, so we have weird sayings.
But no, I'm excited for what's happening in Sosua. I don't want, like I said, I don't want to see anybody lose their business. But it's going to change. It's going to evolve. This has happened before in Sosua. So when people are telling you it's over, roll up the sidewalks, it's never going to be the same. It's not going to be the same, but it's not going to go away. When you lose one client, our market, a demographic, like we lost our European markets because they couldn't get here after the last recession. So this recession is going to change things. The crackdowns are going to change things, and it's going to redefine itself. But if you come to Sosua, and if you fall in love with Sosua based on a place to drink and certain activities, you're eventually going to be disappointed because places open up and close here all the time when things are good. Forget about when things are bad. But if you come down here and you fall in love with a slower lifestyle, living on a coastal town, things that are very tangible to your life, you stand a better opportunity for long-term happiness and success.
That'll do. See, I'm getting corrected here. Fire in the belly.
Fire in the belly. There you go.
Thank you, Dan. Dan Heinz.
Oh, that's good. That's a good friend of mine, Dan. Dan Heinz. Good to see. Thanks for watching, Dan. Tell Marie I said hi. Now, Dan, I introduced Dan and his wife Marie to each other on Sosua Beach. I met Marie on Sosua Beach. Dan was one of my clients. There you go. So one of the best things that came out of Casa Valeria and Compai, that marriage right there.
Great to hear.
But no, I appreciate everybody, your comments. We can see your comments. We appreciate everybody saying hi. And yes, Frank is an exceptional guy. We've been friends for a while. I've been trying to get him on the show for a while. I'm like, Frank, we got to get out there and just say that things are not as bad as people are making it out. And things are not going to explode financially like other people are saying. It's going to take some time.
It's going to take time. It's got to take time, and you got to be prepared for it, and you got to work through it. Has a lot of people had to cut down on their staff? Absolutely. Loads of business have cut down on their staff, and not going to mention nobody, but I mean, like, I've heard enough around town. That is a hard effect on this. We've even had to cut down. Fortunately, most of the people, they quit themselves for personal reasons, nothing else. But as you're saying, it's not going to go overnight. It's going to work itself through and redefine itself into whatever it's going to turn into. Is it going to be a 100% family town? I got a family, so I would love it if it were to turn into that, but I have a hard time seeing that. I'm putting most of my attention into adventurous traveling couples, adventurous travelers, because Sosua has some amazing areas around. If you go up into the mountains, if you go up, we got zip lining, we got the ATVs, we got boogies, we got off-road groups. People who get invested into that, I had a friend of mine who was talking about that, just motorcycles, getting up in the mountains and moving around.
Oh.
That would be such an amazing experience for people who are really into those type of things.
The adventure tourism has not even been tapped right now.
No.
And that is such an, and it's going to be a little bit of a hard market to get going because we're just not known for it.
No.
You know, that would take a lot of work to get that. But in today's social media world, it's easier now than it's ever been.
Absolutely.
You know, I mean, just YouTube is the best form of niche marketing there is. That's why you do it. You know, but the expat community, I think where everybody makes the big mistake. Everybody gets focused on that 300-meter strip in Sosua, where what is really driving the economy is not that. It's an important part of the economy, but when it comes to jobs, it's everybody who's working in the villas that are being built left, right, and center in Hispaniola, Casa Linda, Sosua, Ocean Village. For every villa that's built, for every two, at least one needs a maid.
Yep.
A gardener, right? Then every 4 or 5, you need another security guard. So there's a lot of employment that's just being generated through the expat communities to offset the labor that's been lost downtown. Not that you want to see anybody lose their jobs, but Sosua is still growing, not as fast as it's been. There's been a lot of good job growth, but the real driver is real estate down here, not selling beers.
No. That's for sure.
And that's what's going to...
And that's where I believe, if you start catering to the big expat community that we have, you can easily start getting a lot of extra business coming in. Not so much for you and me.
No.
Although there is. So I'm looking on a special deal for if you're gonna have your mother-in-law or father-in-law coming over and you have a house up in Casa Linda, you might get a percentage with us, so they can stay over here.
It's cheaper than building a casita out by the pool.
It was actually a friend from Casa Linda who asked me.
I get a lot of guys staying in my place who are building their villas.
Yeah.
We'll come in and stay for a week, 10 days while things are getting built. But that is really there's a lot of untouched market right there. And what I think a lot of people don't realize is how many people live in these gated communities who really don't go anywhere. You know, they'll go to the Diners Club in Hispaniola, they'll go to they'll go like the Coconuts, Seahorse Ranch, but they really don't come out to downtown. That's a real untapped market because they don't feel comfortable coming downtown. So there's still a lot of potential, and that's why we said, you know, downtown's got to redefine itself. That's why the Hard Rock is a good opportunity to kickstart the town it's going to be in a different direction.
Yeah. No, but I mean, like, just look at it. Last time you and me walked down to the beach, I saw a lot of faces that just by looking at them, you know, they lived here.
Yeah.
that was down moving about in Sosua Beach, and up until now, they probably never went down there.
I
A
got
lot of those.
I got neighbors who are like, John, take me to the beach. I'm like, what do you mean you've never been to the beach? He goes, I've never been to the beach during the day. I'm like, how you got a villa here? How do you not? Come on, I'll take you to the beach. This is where I sit. This is where I go. He's like, I just don't really know how to navigate it. I'm like, you just walk down the street. But no, so Dan Hines asked us a good question. Is there any plans to address the electrical infrastructure? Not that I know of. The electricity here has just been, for every improvement they do, the building just outpaces it. So they still got a lot more to work on.
Yeah.
What a Leroy Day says, where's a good place to buy a fire sale villa that's in a quiet area on the outskirts of Sosua area? La Malata. I mean, you're going to see, I mean, I'm not a big fan of La Malata. I know some people love it.
I saw that you know where they have the basketball courts, leaving towards Puerto Plata.
Oh, what are they doing across the street?
I was just looking
I just
at
came back from Puerto
drove-
Plata today.
I did as well.
Yeah,
I did as well,
Puerto
and I
Plata.
looked at that. I'm like, that entrance started looking like they're fixing it up really nice.
Yes.
So that area could absolutely. It's not on my. I've never been a fan of that side of the beach because traffic.
The last thing I want to do is drive through Sosua, Bajo, Cheramicos, and then across the beach every day. No.
But I mean, like, if he's looking for a fire sale and if he's looking for good prices, that could be an area. I don't know.
You know, it all depends on now.
But then again, I'm
We're getting
not a
close to
property
my.
guy.
Now we're getting close to my heart here. It all depends on your usage, brother. If it's just for you to use, take your time, go shopping, visit lots of places, and then when you find some place you really like, rent for 2 weeks. As much time as you can rent there, stay there to see if you like it, see if it floods, see if it has tons of mosquitoes, a lot of stagnant water down in certain places here, right?
Absolutely.
You don't want to get dengue and all these other, because nobody talks about that stuff, but it's real. If it's for rental income, if it's not within walking distance to Playa Sosua, I advise not to do it.
No.
Because the farther you get away from that beach, the less the rate you can charge per night. It's just, and guys, I know guys who are building on the other side of the highway. I'm like, this is the worst thing you can do. I know guys that are building out behind Crazy Ranch, back in there, and I'm like, nobody knows where you're at. You're too far away. But John, the land is cheap, yeah, because you're out in the middle of nowhere. But here's the thing: the land might be cheap, but the price for rebar, the price for concrete, it's all the same if you were building closer to the beach.
Absolutely.
That doesn't change. So all you're doing is limiting yourself on how much money you can make. It really cuts your income potential down. So if it's for you, take your time, go shopping. You're going to see more and more fire sales coming on the market. I know these real estate agents don't want to tell you this, but they're starting to advertise more and more fire sales, because come next spring, I don't think it's going to be the high season that everybody needs to keep themselves alive. You know, I'm excited. This is going to knock out a lot of my competition.
It has not been a low season, so I mean, like this. Even before the crackdowns, there was a lot of, I mean, like, it's not been a lot of movement in Sosua at all before that.
The real estate slowed down a lot. You know, I got friends who sell in Casa Linda. They say, you know, he's still selling well in Casa Linda, but he says he's selling to people that are buying their retirement home 5 years before they're due to retire. So if... Leroy, if that's what you're looking at doing, that makes sense. Never let anybody tell you better jump on this now. It's so easy to get into property here. It's hard to get out, and especially when things are slow. How many people do you know owned in La Malata for 8 years, couldn't sell
Yep.
until after 2020? Then they were able to sell. So be prepared to sit on it. So, just make sure you really want to be there, and make sure you plan on using it before you buy. And if you're retired, rent. Why buy? Especially if you're not working anymore, keep that equity in a bank. Throw it in a bond or something. Do something. Put it in property in the Caribbean unless you're sure it's going to make you money. Or if you're like me, I want to live in my house. I want my house, my bed, my plates, my spoon. Then go that route. But if that's not you, rent. Just keep your money in a safe place and just go. Because a lot of people buy down here, and then the community changes around them. They get neighbors that move in that disrupt their quality of life. If you're renting, you just pick up and go. But if you own it, you're stuck for a while. So that's just my 2 cents.
No, I fully agree with that. I'm still renting over here, so. And we've moved from areas just because of what you're saying. We've stayed in places where we just go like, oh, this is freaking beautiful. This is perfect. We're close to everything. Mm-hmm. We can walk down to Casa Valeria. No problems at all. And then you get a couple of bad renters coming into one of the houses next door or something like that, and can't even sleep at night. Mm. So those are iffy situations that can come up.
People ask, well, I don't want to be in a gated community. I don't want to pay the fees. I live in a gated community. Those rules and regulations, yes, they limit what I can do, but they also, if they're enforced and you have a good administration, it maintains that quality of life that I'm paying for. And that makes my investment more valuable to me. Because I don't want to hear the music at night, the screaming and yelling. And guys, that's one of the reasons we had this crackdown. Because what nobody really understands, the crackdown started a long time ago. Yep. It started from the locals. It started from the business people. It started, the guys who run gated communities said, you're not bringing your quads in here anymore. We have to come and tell you to turn your music down the second time you're getting thrown out. That's where the crackdowns really started. And it was pushed by the Dominicans. It was pushed by the Dominicans who live close to the tourist villas. And their quality of life was disturbed. And that's ironic because Dominicans can be pretty loud as well.
They do know how to throw a party.
They do. Been to a couple of great ones myself. But yeah, that's it's been a comment. I mean, just look at the quads. What the crackdown on the quads. That was well, everything's pushed by the Dominicans. Us expats, we have no say in nothing here. But no, that was a long time coming. I know we both know the guy who wrote that bill and put it in. And I ran into him in Polaro a year and a half ago, and I said, "Man, that is great, Mr. So-and-so." And I kept waiting and waiting and waiting.
Yeah, I kept on hearing that. It's coming, they're shutting down, and you went like, well, like everything over here takes a little bit of time, but it does happen.
It happens on their time, not ours. Well, that's, it's politics, It is politics.
Absolutely.
So what does the Italian say? The gangster bankster. That's great, the gangster bankster. Even if those businesses and individuals that work in Sosua that supported the crackdown will lose dollars and businesses and people lose their jobs, there is nothing else to replace the lost dollars. Do you want to comment first?
Let me just read. Go ahead. I'll reread it.
All right. This is no different than any other financial downturn. Yes, businesses will lose. Individuals that work there will lose. But we've seen this before. Sosua like I said earlier, we'll push through this. It will redefine itself. There's one thing about the Caribbean, there's always somebody willing to come down here and rent the dream. And that dream is usually a bar or a restaurant. Right? So, yeah, it's going to hurt the individual. It's going to hurt the downtown. But the real economic driver isn't the downtown. It's important. I'm not trying to say it's not important. But it's all the construction that's going on around it. That's what's really driving everything here.
My 2 cents on that comment is people came here just like you were mentioning. People came here with dreams and they started up a bar down at the beach, etc. And they lost a lot of money as well before that as well.
All the time.
All the time. So this is not the first time that people are losing money because of business. Business, if you don't have something that sticks out or goes a little bit a different way than all the others, then yeah, of course. If there's 250 bars down at the beach and you're not making something special out of it, like where did we go to eat? Everybody who lives here knows where to go to eat.
On the beach,
when
absolutely.
you go down to the beach.
Yep.
We don't even have to mention it. So if you don't stick out on that, you're not going to catch a greater audience, I do believe. And yes, was it more extreme now with the crackdowns? Of course.
Yeah, by far.
By far, there's much more businesses that's been hurting at the same time. But the bars who was down at even before the crackdowns, in the heyday, when there was loads of business down, you saw bars open up and close down.
Yeah,
bars open up and close down. Open up and close down. Because they were just not doing something different to catch the clients.
Yeah, no, it's people take it for granted that it's easy to do business down here. I can't tell you how many in my first 3-4 years here, I give you a year, you won't make it, you'll fail. I heard that every other day down here. And that's what people that I thought were my friends. You won't make it. You'll go home broke like everybody else. But that's what we see all the time. And you know, I find myself not saying the same thing, but definitely thinking it. You know, I try to be a little more polished by it, but and then especially when you start talking to some of these business owners, I'm like, yeah, they're done. They have no concept. Even if you know how to run a business in the States, you still got to understand how that business translates to the business model down here. I've been doing rentals since I was 20 on my first house.
Yep.
I thought I had no problem. Boy, did I have a learning curve. It's just a different beast down here. So when it goes to, you know, people will lose businesses and lose their jobs. You know, this is just, that situation we described, just a little more intense, but I guarantee there's going to be people backfilling those places downtown because they're going to say, I can do it better. I won't make that mistake. Because really, where else can you get into a business? Let's just be frank. If you want to get into a restaurant in downtown, what do you need, $85,000? $65,000? How much even now? Do that in the States. You can't get a liquor license for that, not in Jersey where I'm from.
No.
Rent? No way. So I say it all the time. Sosua is where the amateurs come. This is an amateur bowl. Because a lot of guys come down here, open a business, and never even done that business before. What do? I'm a retired fireman. And you're running a bar? You ever work in a bar? No, I never worked at a bar. Never bartend? No. You ever waitered? No. What do you know about a bar? Nothing back of the house, just sitting at one. You know, and there's so much more goes into that. That's where we see a lot of people just
Nomad vacation rentals here wrote something that I fully agree with, and I've noticed that at Casa Valeria as well. He's talking about that a lot of local Dominicans have started showing up, and that I do believe because the local Dominicans, they've noticed more what's changing, and they're looking at it as a positive thing.
just go to the beach. Just go to the beach.
And that was actually the first thing when they started doing the crackdowns. to fill up and make sure that the hotel is running good, I started doing a lot of commercials for the local Dominicans because that I figured Europeans, they plan their trip minimum 6 months ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to get no quick response from them. United States might be a little bit shorter, but still months ahead.
United States is predominantly 2 weeks to 8 weeks out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why Sosua is slower. That's why now we're seeing Sosua slower, because we're 8 weeks out from the crackdown.
Yeah.
So nobody's booking.
And whereabouts the Dominicans, we started doing directly ads for Santiago, Santo Domingo, and all the places around here to try and catch them. And we started getting responses directly. Might be just a weekend, but it's still business coming in.
This used to be a Dominican vacation town. Now, they all wouldn't. Now, what's going to change now is they're not going to be renting in all brand new, renovated. They're not going to be renting in Casa Valeria and Compai. They're not going to migrate. And then when they do, and when I hit them with my rules and regulations, they just don't book.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what we're talking about, that I put 2 people per bed. The sofa is not a bed, right? I don't rent the children, so that eliminates most of the Dominicans right there because they come in multi-generational. And when I say only 2 people per condo or per bed, at $70 a night, I priced them out of the market. So the Dominicans that are coming are going to go to places like yours.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be going to all the Airbnbs. They're not going to be filling up other condos.
Oh, you could get Airbnbs. That I do believe.
Do you?
Yes, if you have a bigger Airbnb, you can
A villa,
absolutely,
sure.
yeah, you can absolutely catch the Dominicans. Even a bigger apartment or something like that. If you just have a pool by, that's going to catch Dominicans.
Okay.
That I do believe, and I've seen it as well, and I know it's when I go on vacation with my wife and the Dominican family.
Oh yeah, you would know.
So,
Right.
I know as long as they're a little bit loose on the rules, how many people coming in, because that is 100%
So
true. You get a reservation for 2 people coming in, and
6.
you see
6.
how many rooms did you guys rent?
Yeah, that's and I, so I don't think my mindset was with that is I don't think a lot of the foreign-owned Airbnbs are prepared to deal with the Dominican rental market because that's a whole different beast within itself, and I don't think they know what's coming down the pike if they do that. And I think if they're in certain condo complexes, the condo complex is going to put an end to it after the first one.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's
Condo
what I was
complexes would be a different story. Yeah.
That's where I was thinking. But then again, I don't know why I didn't come to my head. Across the street from my villa was a bunch of Dominicans renting that villa, and we've had problems with them, especially after COVID. Mm-hmm. When we opened up before the rest of everybody else, and we were getting Santo Domingo, Santiago, man, they would come in and party, woof, all night till like 4 a.m. and it was madness. So, they had to change the rules and regulations there. That's why, I said I don't think most gringos are ready for that market. Now you have a lot of Dominicans who built small condo complexes down by May. They're the ones that could save them from financial hardship.
And I do believe, we do have a lot of rich Dominicans, upper class, middle upper class that come to Casa Valeria, and they spend their weekends there. And when they show up, since they've been coming for years, it's just the woman and her husband, and if they're more, they know the rules that we run over there, so they'll rent another room without any problems at all. So
Perfect.
at the same time, I don't think that you are completely out of that area if you were to try to start digging into it.
I probably could now that
The
I have
only
an
issue,
assistant.
the only issue is normally children are involved. Yes.
Yeah, no, you know what? I'm just
That would be.
I just don't want the kids. You know, I'm sorry, I don't want to offend anybody.
I'm gonna start bringing my kids over to your bar. Throw them
Bring them over. Your kids are great. No, your kids are awesome. Your daughter cracks me up, man. She makes me laugh. But no, it's going to be different. You know, and that's some of the thing. You know, we're just having the conversation in front of the camera that we would have anyway.
Yeah.
But we're sober. There's the big difference.
You know.
You want the rum?
I got 2 bottles of water I've been drinking.
But, you know, this is the changes Sosua is going back to. Sosua is just going back to its roots. It's going back to its core. The locals just said, you know, we want our town to look and act a certain way. That's all it is. It's not meant to offend anybody. It's not meant to make anybody feel unwelcome or unwanted. It's their town. This is what they want, and they're going to get it.
Yeah. And summertime, that's the perfect time to grab the locals, because that's when they get their vacations from work. That's when they, in my area, the kids get out of school, etc. And they are, I'm like, we suffer. We suffer like crazy in summertime with the heat over here. The Dominicans, they suffer, but not as much as we do. They're more used to it.
See, this has been one of the hottest summers I've seen in years.
Yeah.
This summer is just, I mean, I've actually turned on my AC at home. And this is the first time in like 3 years I've started using AC.
Yeah.
I get great breezes in my villa, and it's usually I'm good enough with that, but it's just been bad. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. Is there the Dogs 9111 says some nightlife around town? Is there nightlife around town? I don't know, guys. I haven't been out at night, to be honest. We're going out tonight for one or two.
I was out a couple of nights ago. We went down to it's called Hard Rock Cafe, and ended up in the end at Blue Ice. And this was a Friday. Was there a lot between that? Not so much going on.
Yeah.
But both Blue Ice and Hard Rock Cafe, there was a lot of movement in both of those places, to be honest.
All right, I think we need to talk about this. Freddie Mac says big companies are coming to buy. He says Hard Rock is the start. Everybody's saying that. One of the things that I cannot stand when I read it online is they're killing the town, so the poor Dominicans have to sell their property on Pedro. Well, let me tell you about the people that own property on Pedro. They are not poor. They are not the poor Dominicans. They're the wealthy Dominicans. They're the old school family. I know this for a fact because my business attorney his family's owned a bunch of properties down there for generations. That's old school money. They know what they have. They're not going to get it. They're not going to sell their property because their tenant who they're renting to went out of business. It's not going to happen.
He who thinks that it's the gringos that has all the money over in Dominican Republic, just look at the cars driving around. Look what we're driving around in and what the Dominicans are driving around in. They're not the ones with all the cash.
You mean my 2003 RAV4 with no aircon?
Yeah, or my 2004 Runner that is at the mechanic right now?
No, I'm hearing Starbucks is coming. I'm hearing McDonald's is coming. I'll believe it when I see it. Everybody's saying there's condos coming behind the beach, and so guys, that's not true. That's private property. My good friend knows the owner. He's not selling it. There's no plans for that. There is talks for a major international hotel chain to buy something in Sosua, but it's not on the beach. Mr. Wiseman says, this is very sad and nobody's willing to say how they really feel about things are going except Mr. T. Well, we already talked about Mr. T, to be perfectly frank with you. He's the guy that's saying, roll up the sidewalks. It's dead. No, Mr. T is good on a lot of points, but Mr. T goes way overboard to prove a point. And a lot of people down here are so far behind the eight ball where their income has been cut off, so they're trying to do something to generate income. Whether it's being hyper negative or trying to peddle product that isn't there yet, being super positive. You got to be in the middle. No, Mr. T is saying how he feels, but Mr. T, the sky is not falling. No, there's no big conspiracy here. There's no jackboot military guys putting their boots on people's necks. It's not anything like he's saying. Yes, it's slow. We're in an economic downturn. The crackdowns had their effect, but people are still going about their daily lives. Certain businesses are hurting, certain businesses aren't.
Absolutely, absolutely. Mr. T's boots on the ground. Well,
Yeah,
you're right. You're
so are
right.
we.
He's right there on the ground, and so are we. And you're running a business. Are you surviving?
I'm doing very well.
I'm running a business, and I'm surviving quite well. So I mean, like of course, there are some businesses, like you just said, that are getting really, really hurt by this. 100%. There are some businesses that are getting.
But
Losing a lot.
the thing is, there's when you're doing social media, and I don't always do this correctly. I have my opinions, I have my beliefs, and I have where I believe the way things are going. You can't take things to the extreme, and if you're going to go that route, you better be able to prove it. That's the thing. When you're doing videos, like we said earlier, and you're putting people in front of a camera who I would not allow in my business for certain obvious reasons, and you're putting them out in front and to say, well, look how hard he's suffering. Well, you know, there's more to this backstory than you won't know because you don't live here, but we do. We know who he's putting in front of the camera. We know when he's shooting these videos because we see him, right? So when you manipulate things to meet an agenda, it kind of brings things into question. Yes, things are bad for certain businesses. Absolutely. There's going to be winners and losers in this. And the key is how, as a business owner, do you transition to get through this? Just by saying it's bad, it's over, roll up the sidewalks, that's not always the truth. You know, that's not the way to do it. That doesn't mean you're right.
No, it's catch attention a little bit. If he does it purposely or not, I do not know. I haven't spoken to him for quite some time now. I haven't caught him. Genuine love for Sosua and his Dominican family. Well, so do I. So do I.
And
my family is 2 kids, half Dominican or 100% Dominican and 100% Swedish. Wife's 100% Dominican. I love Sosua. I will fight, and I will make sure that my family can do and live long here and enjoy their time. So we all love and fight for Sosua. It's just different ways how we're doing it, I believe. And just like, I'm not going to go out and say everything is 100% perfect out there.
Nope.
It's not.
Nope.
But I'm also not going to go out and say everything is crap out there. Because it's not. None of those stories are true. There's always the middle. I'm Swedish. We are gray zone. We always stay in the middle. We're the neutrals.
But it's, you know, I've known Mr. T for a long time, and he has a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah.
He has a lot to bring to the table. It just, you know, everybody has their opinions and their beliefs, and if you're gonna, don't believe everything we say. Everything we say, take with a grain of salt. See what we say versus what other people are saying, and find the happy medium. And you know, social media can be so divisive, and it can be so untrue that it affects how other people see things, and it affects how other people's vacations and what they do. The last thing I want to do is give somebody some wrong information to where they go on vacation and they had a horrible time.
Yeah.
Or they don't go on vacation and they wish they did. You gotta be not impartial, but you gotta be realistic. The town's not dead. It's nothing like it was before because they don't want it that way. So you can't wish for it to go back the way it was.
I get clients calling all the time. People that have been coming for years and years, and they ask me how is it really going, and I answer them. I answer them with questions. What are you looking for?
Mm-hmm.
Are you looking for the old style when it was 100 girls standing everywhere, blah blah blah? No, it's not going to be like that.
Never. Those days are
That's
gone.
not going to be like that. Are you looking for a good vacation, relaxed? Because that's what you got to get. It's got to be relaxed, especially during this transition period.
I say this, I've been saying this so many times in my video. Sosua will never be a family town. At least not for the Americans. At least, you might get the Europeans, like you say, adventurous. But for the American market, you got to be out of your mind to bring your kids here on vacation. Last place I would be. I say it all the time. Sosua is a retirement community. I've done videos on that. Because that's where the money is. And we just talked about it in this live stream. Residencial Hispaniola, Casa Valeria, Seahorse, Ocean Village. That's where the money is. That's what's driving the economy.
And that's just the big ones. There are so many smaller places that doesn't have that famous name, like Casa Linda or Sosua Ocean Village, all around the entire Sosua area. Sosua is a big area, and that is 100% what you're saying. There's a lot of retirees coming over here.
And things are bad from the downtown. Things are not that bad when you get outside of, basically things are bad for the whoremongers. That's where things are bad for. I'll say, Freddie Mac, things are bad for the whoremongers. If you're down here, coming down here for the weekend and you want to go out and be able to hand your phone to a girl to get a WhatsApp number, that's changed, that's done, that's over with. You got to know how to navigate things a little different now. Is Sosua over for the other kind of tourists? No. So it all depends on, like we were talking about, who do you market your business to? If you're just marketing your business just for one demographic, you're going to be in trouble. You got to redefine yourself. You got to rebrand yourself. You got to cast a bigger net. I think that's what most people are understanding, and they have blinders on. Well, this is what I go to Sosua for, so therefore, if I can't do what I want to do, it's dead. Roll up the sidewalks. If that's where you got your money from, it's dead. Roll up the sidewalks. Well, no, that's not how business works. It doesn't matter where in the world you are.
And just like I said, if they tell me that they're looking for that type of Sosua, I just tell them straight off, don't come, because I don't want to have people coming on their vacation. I know people work hard for their vacations.
Mm-hmm.
I want them to enjoy it. If you're expecting old-time Sosua, recently Sosua, because it's only been since
post-pandemic. That's
post-pandemic.
The only way I can say it. Post-pandemic, pre-pandemic, because it's a shame. The people that came after or post-pandemic, they don't realize what Sosua was like before, so they just think that's how it always was. Yeah. No. And the post-pandemic Sosua has been rejected. And it's not because I want it rejected. It's not because I had any real issues with it. It's the people who live here. It's the people it's the Dominicans. It's their town. They made a conscious decision to say, you know what? It's done. And they're still doing it. They're still making changes. The motos was just the latest thing that they said, we're done with that behavior. We don't want it. It's just too many people getting in accidents, getting hurt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Damaging other people's property, running into Dominicans on the street. I mean, we've seen all the videos on Facebook. People send us videos. Holy shit, John, look at this. It's that bad. But if you're not down here, you don't see it as much as we do.
Hey guys, where do you like to eat on the beach? Mofongo King. That's the one. Just because the owner's name is Frank as well. No. That's my go-to spot. It used to be Scandinavian Bar.
Scandinavia Bar back in the day. God rest his soul.
That was the go-to place.
Me personally, I'm not a big eat on the beach guy, but if I do, I go to Fast Freddy's. Freddie, good friend of mine, great guy, Fast Freddy. I thought Apartment R. I bought properties there for the passport, bro. Now I'm struggling. I may end up just walking away. Dude, don't just walk away. All right. First off, I'm sorry to hear you're struggling. You market it to a specific demographic. That demographic is not here as much as they were before. Change up. Did you get bumped off of Airbnb? Like a lot of us did. I got bumped off of Airbnb, so it happens. Did you get bumped off of Airbnb? If you have gotten bumped off of Airbnb, you need to hook up with a decent property manager. My suggestion,
VRBO.
VRBO. I do very little VRBO. Do you have any success VRBO?
I haven't done that since Casa Linda.
Casa Linda. I do very little VRBO. I'm not on bookings. I can't stand bookings. I never was a big fan of Airbnb, but Apartment R, what you got to hook up with a property manager that can market your property. I suggest Manuel from the Good Life Sosua, not because I get commission from the guy, but because he's a very good friend. And actually, if you go on his webpage, you'll see my apartments. I have a market in mind, so I practice what I preach. And he has a great staff. He has enough staff to handle the volume of rentals he has. So you can't just sit back and let things come to you. You got to be proactive. If you really, or this will be another harder thing to do, but it's doable. Make your own little website. Brand your apartment. I don't know where they're located, but if you can brand your market, give it a name, and go that route and do your self-marketing, and you can create a website that has its own booking program in the website, so you can do direct booking. Then you hook up with Stripe, is what I use to take online payments with credit cards. It's just another avenue, and then you just do Facebook marketing, because Facebook is the niche market for Sosua, for people that are here. YouTube is the niche market for people overseas. That's why I'm doing Compai's Expat channel. 2 reasons. 1, to promote Casa Valeria and Compai. 2, because I'm unhappy with the amount of advice that has been giving out over the last 2 years. That's why I'm doing the channel. So that's my advice, Apartment R. I wish you all the best. Just don't walk away. I don't know where your properties are, but hook up with what real estate agent does rentals? Like back in the day, it would be Caldwell Banker, Remax. They would do that, but do they still do that anymore?
Not sure. I haven't been in touch with many of them. I know.
I mean, because that was the thing then. Because then
Conti does that, don't they?
Actually, Conti, yeah, that'd be another good one. Conti, they're on Calle Ana Maria, and they're actually gaining a lot of market share since the crackdown. Yeah, Conti would be good ones, and they're Dominican. Yeah, they're good people, very good people. So they'd be good. So you got 2. And Manuel is Dominican as well. He's half Dominican, half Swiss. Speaks perfect English. So obviously Spanish and German. So reach out to them. Easy to find, easy search. But good luck. I wish you all the best.
Yeah, especially not just walk away. Sell it at least.
I'm assuming that's what he means. I don't think he's just going to be like, see you, bye-bye, here's the keys. But
sorry for laughing, not laughing at the situation. Absolutely not.
But you know what? There's I'm hearing that a lot.
Hearing what?
Guys are having a hard time, and it's going to get worse, because you said the Europeans, because you have a lot more European clients than I do. Europeans book 6 months out. Americans are 2 weeks to 2 months, and we've been a little over 2 months since the crackdowns really got underway.
Yeah.
So all those guys who had those tickets that were non-refundable, they took that vacation because they didn't want to lose the money on the ticket. Now it's going to be slower going forward, and that's why I said earlier I don't think this high season is going to be the revenue savior that a lot of these guys who bought 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 condos on credit to save them. I don't think that it's going to happen, especially if they got mortgages back in the States. They pulled a home equity line of credit to buy it down here.
No.
You know,
Depending on how long they've had them and how many reoccurring clients they have that keep on choosing them, it's going to be hard to pick up new people because the guys that are coming, I think most of them are going to choose the places that they know.
yes.
Because they've been in touch with them and they've been asking how it's actually is, how they're, what to expect when they come, and if they don't cancel by then they know exactly, boom, that's what I'm going to experience. Which is a little bit difficult for us as well, because when all this started to happen, you couldn't really give out advice either, because you didn't know what was actually going to 100% happen.
Yes. Yeah. I'm getting a lot of new guys coming to Casa Valeria and Compai, and I'm also getting a lot of guys who are pre-pandemic coming back. I'm getting a lot of that. But Frank, Grand Duke says, I stay at Casa Valeria every time I come. Loves it there, great staff. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you very much. I have the best staff that I can ever expect.
All right, here you go. This is travel before you die. This is good. I got 2 properties in Sosua. One in Hispaniola Beach and one in Playa Dorado. 2 in Hispaniola. All 3 got canceled off of Airbnb last week. I don't have anything on my listing that says guest friendly. Neither did I. All 10 of my listings got bounced off of Airbnb. I didn't say guest friendly. I didn't say chica friendly. And I did not say family friendly. And I think that's why I got bounced. But I have one of my neighbors in Hispaniola, Residencial Hispaniola, brand new listing, brand new, like 6 months. He called me right around 2 weeks ago and said, John, my listing got banned yesterday. I'm like, get out of town. What? You're like the farthest thing from what everybody thinks the reasons you get banned. He said, I have no idea why. And I said, nobody knows. Because when we got banned, nobody said.
He didn't give a reason.
They don't give it. No, they just throw out like a
email.
code of conduct thing. You broke our rules and regulations. They don't tell you specifically why you got
And
it.
especially here, we're talking about 2 in Hispaniola and 1 in Playa Dorada.
Actually, 2 in Hispaniola.
Yeah, 2 in Hispaniola
Beach,
and 1 in Playa Dorada.
Dude, and this gentleman has some money invested. Hispaniola Beach is an awesome.
None of them are. I mean, like places where you would expect. No.
Yeah, and then
I have no idea what.
Yeah,
to be honest, what
makes no
Airbnb
sense.
chose to let that one go and that one not.
Okay, interesting. I had a good conversation. Well, as soon as I got bounced, I called my Frank Huron. I'm like, yo, dude, I just got bounced off of Airbnb. He's like, what are you talking about? So I sent him the email, and he's like, holy shit. I'm like, check yours. He's like, no, I'm good. Then I called Manny at Good Life Sosua. He's like, no problem. So then I see Manny, and I'm like, where are you going? He's like, I'm going to Mexico City for an Airbnb conference. What? He goes, yeah, I'm Airbnb conference. Have fun. And then I saw him a couple of weeks ago. I stopped in because Manning has an office right on the main street. And he's like, yeah, I'm going to Colombia for another Airbnb conference. So my personal opinion, seeing how all of us are getting bounced, but Airbnb is running these conferences, and it's by invitation as well. They're redesigning their business model. That's what they're redesigning. Because they're getting bounced out of Venice, Barcelona, Berlin, New York, Las Vegas, San Diego. Everybody, all these cities are re-regulating. They're saying what they should say. You're a business.
Don't quote me on this, but I want to remember that some months ago there was a conference in Puerto Plata. Because I remember I got an email both for New York for some reason, which I don't understand, but I also got one from Puerto Plata. I never went because we don't do a lot of business with Airbnb.
Nah, I'm not
The
a big
hotel, I'm listed there because this program that we're using is easily to just connect it up there. I do get from time to time a bit reservation, but not a lot. I wonder what was said in that meeting. I should have gone.
No, I asked Manny, and it was just a way to generate more revenue, do more cleaning, do this, do that, charge for this, charge for that stuff. It's just a way to nickel and dime your clients to death.
Yeah.
Stuff that I wouldn't do.
Oh,
But
yeah.
Alan, see you soon. Thank you. I appreciate you staying at my place. But yeah, so it's going to be interesting, guys. You know, I appreciate everybody watching because we've been on for what, about an hour and a half?
Yeah.
About an hour and a half.
Hour and a half.
So, anybody have any questions that they want to throw our way? But I really just want to stress again, guys, there's a lot of people doing a lot of content. Filter through it. Don't take any of us who have a camera and a microphone in front of us like we truly know what we're talking about. We can manipulate any situation. We can say anything we want. Just because we're here doesn't mean we're right.
No. We're giving out our opinions and our
That's it, man.
hopes
Just
and
take it
our
like a grain-
expectations.
And, you know, I don't want to sound... With doing business 16 years, you see things from different angles. And it's tough to last that long in this town. Anybody who's been down here as long as we have, you see cycles, you see patterns, you see how things come. And that's the thing that you want to look at, and that's why we come out and we say what we do, instead of going for the shock value. And that's important, because a lot of people down here haven't had the longevity to see the cycles. And I wish I could have talked to the gentleman with the 2 apartments, you know, who was just marketing to one demographic. You know, if we would have had a conversation a year and a half ago, he may not be in that position today.
No.
And listening to certain people that will tell you what you need to do when in reality they're giving you bad advice leads to people losing their apartments. I just did a video on that. How bad advice costs people their apartments in the garden condos. I just did a video on that, and I see it all the time. I still see it all the time, and it's horrible because I've had guys literally break down and cry. John, I bought this. This was my dream. This is what I was doing. This is what I was told I had to do. Now I lost it, and I lost this amount of money. And what do you say to that? You know, I
had a client just a couple just after the what's it called, the crackdown, and he was telling me that he bought a complex with 4 apartments, and he was looking at ways how to catch more clients. It was just before the crackdowns, and then he started talking about getting some ATVs for it, and I just looked at him and I was like, don't go that route. Don't go that route. You already got the apartments, okay. Work out something for it that's gonna catch the people. And I actually started talking about Dominicans, because there you can, boom, absolutely fill it up. You got a pool, you got 4 apartments, smaller ones, but still, you could be able to catch some Dominicans.
And you know what? 4 apartments is a nice revenue stream down here. If he's retired and if he lives
or long-termers.
Long-termers, you know. Yeah, you know, long-termers, you're not always guaranteed money, but it's a nice little income stream. You live beneath your means. You have a simple life, dude. The secret to being down here is getting out of the rat race, changing your lifestyle, enjoying having your own time, owning your time. That's what I like. I wake up, I decide, what do I got to do? If I'm not doing a project, if I'm not in the middle of rehabbing something, it's, do I go work in the studio? What do I do today? Do I go work in the cigar lounge? That's liberty. When you own your time, that's why you want to come down here and live. That's why I say, if you come down here for the bar, or the girls, this, You're going to be disappointed. But when you come down here and change your life, own your time, and just get it out of the rat race, man, this is a great place to be.
Absolutely.
Hey, travel before you die. Good luck, man. I hope you sell your properties. I don't know who you have them listed with, but any infrastructure improvements? Not enough. Weisman HC says any infrastructure? No, not enough.
They fixed our road a little bit.
Did they?
Somewhat.
No kidding.
Not gonna say too much.
Oh, by the way, there was a fight in front of Casa Valeria when I was coming by.
There was a fight. Oh, you were passing by when
The moto concho.
the motor was going the wrong way?
Is that what it was?
That's what it was.
All I know is that moto was just screaming at the guy. And was it a gringo or
It was a girl sitting in that car.
No kidding.
That's why it was so cocky.
Ah, that makes sense. Going the wrong way and he's mad.
And he's mad.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
At least he wasn't on a four-wheeler.
It had to hide
Sorry,
quickly.
man. I had to go there. I had to do it. Well, guys, we're going to sign off. We've been doing this for a while. I appreciate everybody watching. We're not trying to come down hard on any other social media content creator. Let's just make that known. But yep, thank you. What do you think about the bicycle amenity for guests? We have listings in Cabaret. Do you like this?
Cabaret, I think it would work. Sosua, not so sure about. When we start getting more flights from Europe, and it fills up with more Europeans, I'm not sure about you Americans, but I know that Europeans, they freaking love the bicycles.
Especially the Dutch.
Yeah, and the Swedish. Oh my God. We got a Swedish guy driving around here on the bicycle all the time. You've probably seen him 100 times.
Nomad Vacation Rentals, the last thing I would do is suggest anybody to ride a bicycle on these roads. I'm sorry. What did we just say 2 minutes ago? Hey, I saw an accident in front of Casa Valeria. A fight. A guy going the wrong way down the street. No, it's just a safety issue. These roads are just too dangerous for bikes. I look at people riding bikes and go, oh, man. You know, it's just too dangerous. I mean, they just pulled all the ATVs off of Sosua, right? They're working on that because too many accidents. And that's my thing. I wouldn't
Yeah,
tell
I don't
anybody
trust
to
anything
no.
with two wheels.
No. Nah.
Not in
no.
the traffic. If I go off road, yeah, that's a different story.
Yeah, mountain biking. Well, there you go. Another adventure business, right?
There you go.
You know, and there's so much open land here. So much national parks. The backside of El Choco is all just one giant national park, you know? But guys, thank you everybody for watching.
Thank you very much.
We're going to say goodbye, good night. And I don't know, Frank, are we going to do this anymore? Did you like it? Did you have fun?
I had fun.
Should we do it once every 2 weeks, twice a month?
We'll try to work for that.
Guys, you're welcome. Vacation rental, Nomad, good luck to you. We wish you all the best. And I just wanted to come down and drink a cold president at the beach so the changes won't affect my decision to come to Sosua. Del Rey, I get you, brother. Listen, either you know, Sosua is a little bit of everything for everybody.
Yep.
You know, it's there. But, you know, listen, we're definitely going to lose a decent percentage of market share. It is what it is.
That's what it is.
You know, and everybody needs to accept that and just change your business model, change how you do things, and move on. Easier said than done. I get it. All right, guys. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, guys and girls.
An hour and 36. Dude, we did good.
I think that went good.
Well,
Okay. I was not going to let my live stream.
Sorry?
Was not going to allow them to blow up Mr. T on my
No.
live stream. Not going to fucking happen.
No.
great seeing you two guys.
Dan
who
Heinz,
used to
great
be
guy.
business-
Do you know who it is?
Who used to be business partners, yet still friends.
He's probably thinking of your old partner. Who used to be business partners yet still friends. We were never business.
See you, boss.
He was the guy who said he's coming all the time?
Dan hasn't been here in a while. Do you need to hit the head?
Yes.
All right, let me give you the key. Take your phone.
Yeah.
Because